So one thing I didn't talk more about, because there's a little confusion with, as you put the plant in and you put your solvent, it's going to pull out the water and dilute your tincture. So the higher the alcohol for fresh herb is really recommended. Are you all familiar with proofs and what that means? Okay. So basically, I'm going to just make it easy. Out of 100 proof, you're going to have 50% water. So 100 proof. You're going to have 50% water. After the distillation process, they add water at the end. Okay, so if it's 150, you're looking at 75. Is that kind of clear? So the proof, let's see, if all you have on hand is, you know, the real high alcohol, the higher proof, 195, you can dilute it with really pure water or distilled water to bring it back to the desired ratio. And the book that I held up earlier by Steve Buhner, he talks about, in his whole experience, what he's found is the best ratios for certain herbs. So it's just really helpful to look at that. Okay. All right, so then labeling, which we went over before, but it seems like a small thing, but it's actually really quite big. I can't tell you how many times I really assume that I will remember something and I don't, and then you've wasted months of a process. And for someone like myself, where it's so integrated in my life and I'm making medicine every day and I've got plants coming and going, it can easily get confusing. And I use, you'll see, I write on the lids. I don't recommend doing this. This is a bad habit because you're in the kitchen and you're moving stuff around and you're taking lids off and you're moving it around and you put another lid on. You can mess the lids up and then potentially do something disastrous. So don't do that. I did that for a long time and really ended up confusing myself. Masking tape is really helpful. Having labels is really helpful, even when you're just putting it in the fridge and you think you're going to remember. And as for me, I have so many things coming and going. I need to keep it all together. So I wanted to show you guys how to press a tincture that it's ready to go. It's macerated now, and this is a stinging nettle one that I showed you at the beginning. It's been sitting for a while and it's ready to be strained.
Fresh or dry?
This is fresh. So I'm taking off my jewelry. Don't want it to hurt my stones. So I'm going to not use plastic.
What does the pressing do is to a strainer? What's the difference?
Well, this right here, I don't know if anyone's familiar with this. This is a potato ricer. I generally I put it into some cheesecloth right here is what I do. And you'll see, you can use your hands. Now the alcohol can be kind of rough, like it can really dry your hands out. But you can put it in here basically and just squeeze it. But you're gonna have particulate matter that is gonna come from the plant. And so I'll strain it several times to get that out of the tincture. When you have things like roots and different things that are a little harder, these can come in really handy for getting those just last really like concentrated drips out that are in there. They make tincture presses, but they're very expensive. You could make your own if you knew how, but they are about $1,000 or more. So for the home apothecary, these are a really great option. I am just going to grab a glass vessel to pour this in. Yes?
Nut and milk bag is a good option for squeezing stuff because it has a finer grain than cheesecloth.
Those are really great. I have this one that I use. It's really a tight weave. Strainer. So generally, this is my setup, the first run through, and sorry. You can feel with your hands that you're getting everything out. So I don't need the potato masher for this, but I have a root here, which I'll do so I can demonstrate how that works. So this little, when you're all done squeezing, squeezing it out, what you have left is called the mark. And this is the plant, the sweet plant from your garden. It's a great thing to put in the compost pile. Some people will use this and make an infusion or put it in their meat, or they'll use it again. I mean, there's still a little bit of something in there. So I'm done with that. I'm going to put that in there, my compost later. That's really well strained. So the next thing that I do is I get a clean new bottle. Let me see. Oh, this is perfect. These are 16-ounce bottles, and I have exactly 16 ounces that I strained out. So I'm going to look for my handy little funnel. These you can also get. I got this at Villagers. Honestly, I think everybody needs 2 of these because, I don't know, it always goes missing. And a little hint too, when you're pouring this in, lift it up just a hair because it will come out really fast. It will help it just flow right into the bottle.
Is there any reason you use the stainless steel versus glass or something?
You could surely use a glass one. This is just more heavy duty. I wouldn't recommend plastic because the alcohol will. So we heard the story. It could do a number on plastic and leach out those chemicals you don't want in your medicine. All right. Lovely. Perfect. Okay. And these amber glass bottles, does anybody know why we use the dark bottle?
Keeps the light out.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Just checking. Let's see. So I'm going to write a little label, stick it on there.
You put the same information on the label on the tincture that you're making as well as the finished product.
Yes. Yep. So I'm basically copying.
Excuse me, what do you use your nettle for?
Everything.
What they said. What's the easiest answer? Well, it's really like, it's really helpful with allergies. Like I said, as a food, you know, it's super high in vitamins. So we're looking at like our iron, calcium, and magnesium, and those are really best extracted eating them or with water as an infusion or in your vinegar. And it's an incredible diuretic. It really helps with your urinary tract and blood builder. There's so much, and there's so much research on this plant. It's one of those that you think you know it, and you go down the rabbit hole with it. New stuff comes out all the time, and there's a lot of great information in the books back there. So there we have that.
Could you comment on the lids, like for instance, the canning jar lids, there's rubber on there, and I'm not sure what the metal is, either on the lid or the screw top,
Yeah.
as opposed to some of those have plastic lids, so, and I've still got some of the old-time zinc lids, so
Yes.
what are your thoughts on those various?
That's a great question. The inside of these lids, it's escaping my mind. If anybody knows, it's made out of special plastic in here, which will not leach out. It's even, that and I forget what it's called. Most all of these amber bottles will come with this. And yeah, these tops, they have plastic. So here we look at, this is plastic and this is metal. So we don't want to fill it all the way up to the top with alcohol. And if it's something that it's a concern and that's your only option, you can use a barrier, like a natural wax paper. But I just kind of make it a rule of mine that 2/3 of the way, I don't fill them all the way up the top. So there's just sitting in that metal and plastic. But yeah. So I'm gonna go rinse these out and then I'm gonna just strain a root. Do you have one more question?
Say I want to preserve spring water, but I don't want to have a heavy taste of an alcohol in the spring water. Can you recommend how I can get that to last for longer without it going funky with some kind of alcohol, I suppose, and how much of that would I put in? Do you have any sense?
I would freeze it, so I wouldn't have to use alcohol, but if you wanted to use alcohol, you're still gonna, you'll have to use enough where you're gonna taste it. And if it's like, a really special water from a special place, and you're talking like a resonance kind of thing, yeah, I would, it's hard to say. I would use just enough and know that I could take a few drops of that. We call this like the mother stock bottle, and I'd put it in a dosage bottle with, like 7 drops or something in here. You have to play with it. I don't know. That's a good question. I think you kind of follow what I mean, though. Kind of.
Yeah, like I say I had 4 ounces, for example, of spring water. Like
Yeah.
how much vodka, high-proof vodka, would I have to put in there to keep it from going funky?
I would always say like 50-50 or 25-75. But that's something that you would have. I'm not sure.
We use a Berkey filtering system, and it's alleged to be the best on the planet. And we've got horrible water, and that comes out tasting beautiful, crystal clear. And send it in to the various labs, and they say this is the best water on the earth. So those Berkey units are the best products that we are aware of on the market.
For getting clean water? That's, yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. I'll have to look that up. I'm just going to rinse these real quick, so I'm not contaminating the plant with my next batch.